Hey everybody, welcome back to another Nature's Always Right video. Today I'm sitting down for an interview with Curtis Stone, the urban farmer. This has been a dream of mine that it would happen someday, and here he is. We had a fantastic day shooting, so be sure to check out some of the videos he's going to throw up on his channel and also at fromthefield.farm, his private membership video site.
Yeah.
So Curtis, thank you for joining me.
Nice.
Welcome.
Yeah, man. You manifested it. Yeah. You were talking about how it's been a dream of yours, but you know what, man? You manifested me being here because you put yourself out in the world, and I caught wind of you, and here I am. Yeah. That's how it works.
That is how it works.
That's how it works. It's the law of abundance. It's the law of attraction. You made it happen.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And anybody could do that too.
Anybody.
Don't even. Yeah,
doesn't mean that if you just ping me that I'm going to show up, but yeah. It depends.
I worked really hard for you to get wind of me.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool, man. So I just wanted to sit down with you and ask you some questions I've never heard you talk about. And,
sure. Yeah, that's good.
And kind of get more, a little more personal with you and some different vision things, I guess, about the future.
Totally.
So the first kind of question I had is, when I started farming 8 years ago, you were not on YouTube. There wasn't many resources out there to learn about small scale farming. There's Elliot Coleman, J.M. Fortier's book, which were excellent resources. But you, to me, really broke the code on how to do this on a small scale, really profitably.
Right.
I still look at your book for resources sometimes.
Cool.
So I wanted to know about your observation of the changing landscape of small scale and regenerative ag, when you started, where it was not popular, no one knew about it, to now where I'm seeing this amazing thing happening. There's so many people interested in doing this.
Yeah. I think the real space that we need to look at as small scale farmers and people that are interested in this stuff is not about the noise, and the noise being climate change, environmental destruction, political stuff, local economies. I think there's a piece in all of those that are true, though I don't buy into the climate change narrative at all.
I don't either.
However, but I think it's important to be a steward of the earth. Yes. Both you and I would agree on that 100%. So that's just another conversation. But what really needs to be looked at is it's all about self-determination. It's all about creating independence. You and I are both freedom lovers, right? We're real real libertarians. I think that's the biggest thing for small farming, and where it will go is this isn't about changing the world food system. It's not, because it's not going to. Yeah. It's about you having your own piece of land, growing your own food, and making some money at that. To me, that's the most important piece of the puzzle. The rest, to me, is just noise. Because, I don't like big government. I'm a pretty hardcore libertarian. I don't like the term conservative. I used to be liberal. I'm maybe a classical liberal. But the thing that drives me crazy in the small farming space is how it has been co-opted by the UN. And the UN wants everybody to think small farming is the way to feed the world. It's not, you guys. It's not. Small farming is the way to feed you. Small farming to feed the world would probably mean Russia. It would probably mean subsistence living where we can't get enough because most people aren't good farmers. And the Russians screwed it up under Stalin really bad because they had this collectivist mindset, and they wanted to cut down all the tall poppies. They killed all the skilled farmers and then said, everybody go back to the land, and everybody starved. Right. So when I hear the establishment, which in my opinion is the UN, I don't like the UN. I don't like what any of that stuff's about. When I hear those people saying small farming is the way to feed the world, listen to the signal and listen to the noise. There's some truth in there, but there's some untruth in there. There's some 2 + 2 is 5 stuff in there, right? And I think the establishment likes that, because the establishment wants, I hope I'm not opening a can of worms here, but the establishment wants the Hunger Games. For those of you familiar with it, they want to have all the technology. Leonardo DiCaprio's got his private jet and his high living, but he's telling all you guys to cut your carbon emissions. Correct. That's what they want. They want all of us to be small farmers, living in subsistence living, while they're living high on the hill, private jets, private parties, all that stuff. That's what they want. So they like that. The whole idea of telling everybody to small farm fits their narrative. So to me, that's where I divide the signal from the noise.
Interesting.
And so I think the small farming is all about independence and finding your own way to take care of yourself and your family. Sure, we're going to be good stewards of the earth. That's built into the system.
Right.
But when I listen to all these like propagandists in the UN and all that, they're choosing the parts that they want to pump in their narrative to fit their end game. But that's not my end game.
Yeah, and you know, it's hilarious that the elites push this, because like when has governments or the UN or anybody ever cared about human life or the environment or any of that? All the laws that they create protect these corporations destroying the earth, and they create more wars to make more profit and for themselves. Yeah. And then we are the peasant class.
That's right.
And this is kind of this globalist world that they're trying to create right now. And so yeah, I totally agree with you. And you know, this is kind of part of the reason why I do all this. This is a pushback, taking back power from them. If we can be self-reliant and you know we know how to grow our own food, we don't need the system. We don't need them anymore. We don't need welfare, any of that stuff. Yeah. So
I think the thing where I'm at now is I'm not trying to save the world. Because trying to save the world means you have to rope yourself into collectivism. Yeah. And that's where it gets dangerous. So for me, I take care of my family and take care of myself and anybody who's on board with me. The rest of them, I don't care. And I have to say that because it is difficult. I've been a guy my entire life that wants the best for the world. I want the best for everybody. But if you get too far down that where you want the best for everybody to save the world, you get roped into the collectivism stuff, which is, you know, AOC's Green New Deal. It's communism. It's not. It's a Red New Deal. You know, you get into all that stuff, and then it's scary and it's dangerous.
It's death and destruction for all humankind if we go down that road.
The elites love to talk about sustainability when it suits them. Yeah. But they don't really care about sustainability, because if they did, if the elites really cared about sustainability, they would close the Federal Reserve. Yeah. Because fiat money is all about endless growth. And endless growth is what's destroying the environment. But that doesn't fit their narrative. So they talk about the fluffy stuff, the feel good stuff. And that stuff's also easy to sell. And I'm a marketing guy. I know how this stuff works. Like it doesn't fool me anymore. I don't buy into it anymore. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I like it. So, kind of going off that, what do you see as the future of agriculture then? Like, how do we still be stewards of the earth, get away from chemical farming, while still being able to grow like on large swaths of land and still feeding all the people that we do now?
I think we need to be able to scale. Well, first of all, circle back to it because it's important. I don't care about feeding the world. Because that's
feeding the U.S.
Yes, or no, feeding people who are with our mindset. That's really what I'm talking about. The masses are going to go where the elites want them to go. They're sheep. They're sheep. Yeah. And so, what the future of agriculture for them is not necessarily bad, but it's going to be robotic. It's going to be completely AI. It's going to be because people like us don't want to drive big tractors. We don't want to do that kind of farming. So the future for the masses, and then there's the future for people who are switched on. I think what's going to be happening more and more is people like you and I, who are community leaders, we're going to find, and we do. This is one of the greatest things about social media, and I have a lot of bad things to say about social media. One of the greatest things about it is that like-minded people can pop up and connect. That's why I'm here. Yeah. Right? And so what's going to happen for us is we're going to start to find ways to form more community-based living, where we can use decentralized economic systems like cryptocurrencies, things like that, to trade value. And we're going to find ways to work with one another. While the masses go this way, we're going to go this way. So the masses will go to exactly what we talked about: robotics, AI, and all that. And there's some sustainability in that too. Like I think, it's not so bad, but there's lots of bad. We don't need to talk about it because we'll be here forever, and we all know the bad stuff with it. But there's some good stuff in there. But it'll be robots farming. Like, large-scale agriculture is not going away. It's not. It's going to continue to scale, but it's going to be robots doing it. And I've seen the technology, and it's scary in some ways, but in other ways it's not for us. So it's like people in our mindset, probably anybody watching this video who's tuned in this long to this conversation is probably on board with us. Yes. And so if you're on board with us, you don't have to worry. You have to just connect with more like-minded people and go with that. Go the path of least resistance. Forget the masses. It's too much. You'll kill yourself trying to change the masses, because as soon as you try to change the masses, the big guys are going to come for you. And this is why I've never done videos on just talking trash about big ag. I don't want to die on that cross. It's just not my place to go. I'd rather just talk to people that are already on my mindset, and it's like, okay, come over here. So I think that's kind of what it is. I think we will find better ways to scale this. Yeah. And we'll find better ways to find one another and form our own communities, and
forming our own communities,
doing that,
like-minded people like that.
And we have global communities too, right? Like, we're in the same community, but we don't live in the same place, right? But we can also share each other's knowledge. We can also learn from one another. And hey, oh, they're doing this thing down here. Oh, that's interesting. Why don't we try that up here? You know, like I'm a total prepper. Like I'm preparing for the end of the world, and I have for a long time. I think we got a little bit of a window of time right now in the U.S. where things are pretty good. So it's like, let's make hay while the sun shines. Let's make some money at this. Let's set ourselves up, and then let's think long term. I'm thinking long term now, but I'm not running to the hills just yet. But I'm setting my place in the hills up.
Right.
So that's kind of, it's a long answer, but that's kind of what I think about it.
It's very interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it, and yeah, I guess in my mind I still have a little bit of hope that we can like push it to a bigger audience, but
there's no utopia.
But there is,
I don't believe in utopia.
I don't believe in that.
No utopia.
Either. There's definitely not. I guess I just hope that like millions of people, more millions, could believe like we do, versus.
And I think they do. Honestly, Stephen, I think we're at a place where there are literally millions that are into this. Just look at the growth of our channels. You're at 30,000 subscribers. I'm almost at 300. You know, if you were to total up all the YouTube channels in our space that are somewhat on the same frequency,
there's so many
we're probably in the millions.
Yeah.
So I think we are there.
Yeah.
But there's some people that are so locked into the matrix that they'll never come up.
True.
And I don't care about converting them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I look around and everybody's walking. I got a guy who walks by my house every day, and I've never seen his face off his smartphone. He waddles by. He's like that movie WALL-E, that Disney movie WALL-E. He's like this. And he's all fat and overweight and unhealthy, and this is him every day. He's a zombie. So I don't care about the zombies. Yeah. Some of them might switch on, and they're welcome to join. Anybody is welcome. Everybody's welcome. I don't care what political stripes you wear, where you come from, what language you speak, what religion you're. Everybody's welcome. But you gotta play by the house rules, right? Yes. And this is a thing too. Like, I disabled comments on my YouTube channel because I got tired of this tiny minority that are just haters that talk trash. It's like, so my YouTube channel is my house. So these are the rules of my house now. And so I think that's an important thing, that's a philosophy that we can expand upon. It's like, these are the rules of the house. You're welcome to join, but these are the rules. And I'm an anarchist, but I believe in rules, because anarchy is all about rules.
That's right. Yeah, anarchy does not.
It's not about rulers.
Anarchy means no rulers, and they try to brainwash everybody to believe it means chaos and disorder.
No, we want lots of rules, but we want rules that we all agree on, and we don't want to force our rules on our neighbors. So if you want to come in our property and our place, whatever that is, in cyberspace or it's in a physical place, these are the rules, and if you can play by the rules, everybody's welcome.
Yeah, totally agree, man. It's really cool. I guess I would, as far as the sheep go, there's this ex-KGB Soviet...
Yuri.
Yuri Bezmenov. And this is something that's really helped me kind of deal with this idea of all these sheep and that they can't be changed. He said, you know, he was part of the manipulation of the Soviet Union and killing millions of people, okay? He defected to the United States and...
Defected to Canada, actually.
To Canada. Oh, okay. And he said this, I'll try to paraphrase it. Basically, there are some people that will never understand. You could show them all the facts in the world. You could take them to the gulags, show them the concentration camps and people dying, and they still won't believe the truth. Yeah. And they won't believe until their face is on the ground and the jackboot is on their neck and they're about to be killed.
Yeah.
Then they finally get it.
But then they die.
And then they die.
Yeah.
And these people, there's a lot of these people in the world.
Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, these are all ideologues that have bought into a religion, and they're like lemmings. They will chase that ideology off the cliff. And it's amazing to me that in the United States, some people still can't see it. It blows my mind. Like, you come to a state like California, which is the most regulated state. Maybe after New York and California are pretty close. I've been to 28 states. And it is insane. And it's amazing to me that people still believe the utopian socialist dream.
It's
It
crazy.
is unbelievable.
They re-brainwash people. Like everyone, like
It's
30 years ago, people used to be like, "Oh, you're a communist. Like, screw you, man. Get it." You know, it was people were so anti-communist.
the Red Scare.
They so quickly were able to flip everybody again.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing to me.
And the Red Scare, I've looked into the McCarthyism stuff. There's some legitimate reasons why we had a Red Scare. Because the communist propaganda was the real deal. And until Yuri Bezmenov came along, that interview was in the 80s.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It didn't happen in the McCarthy era, right? That was way before, but he came along and said, look, no, we were trying to infiltrate you guys. And we were putting in psychological warfare to brainwash. And that stuff has worked.
Yes.
Like, it's scary. And so for me, I'm just like, I've been a prepper with stuff like, the first thing that was terrifying me 20 years ago was like the environmental stuff. It still does to some degree. And then I got into economics, and then that was stuff.
That's the big eye opener.
Yeah, that's a big one too. But the cultural stuff is really scary. But the thing that is really scaring me now is the devices. This is the stuff that scares me, is because, and my family is device free in the sense that our daughter doesn't engage a device. She will never use a device until she can buy one herself with her own money. Wow, awesome. I'm not worried about her being a Luddite. You know, people say, "Oh, Curtis, aren't you worried that, you know, we're in an age of technology? Your daughter's going to be a Luddite and not know how to use technology?" No, man. The software gets easier to use every year. I would way rather that my child knows how to socialize and knows how to build rapport with human beings. Because I see, man, I teach kids too in my workshops, and I see kids 10 years old now that have grown up with this stuff. They cannot engage with individuals. The only thing they know how to engage with is like or dislike. That's it. And that, to me, that is scary, because we have, the brainwashing is at the next level now. And they're getting the brainwashing. And I read kids' books. I read 7 books a week to my daughter. And I read all kinds of books, and I see the propaganda going at the children at a young age. That's what freaks me out now. That's what makes me want to run to the hills. Because what's going to happen to all these kids that have grown up with iPhones and have been brainwashed since they were 1 year old? I see 3-month-olds on devices. They've been propagandized since the beginning. What's going to happen when those kids are adults?
They're a piece of clay. They could be molded to believe anything.
And that's what these people have wanted from the beginning. They want to mold society. That's built into the Marxist ideology. And listen to a guy named Sam Valkner. He did a YouTube video. You can check it out. It's called The True Toxicity of Social Media. He broke down, he's a psychologist, broke down what's happening. He's basically saying that these devices are pathologizing people because it's turning an incredibly nuanced relationship of human dynamics that has everything imaginable to a binary interaction. Like or dislike, friend or not friend. And so
life is not that.
Life is not that simple, right? And so this is turning children into what he says are socio and psychopaths. And we're going to see the amount, we've got autism levels rising. We're going to see all these psychopaths that, what happens if the system blips for a second? People don't have their device. They're going to be like junkies, man. Like, listen to Gabor Mate, who talks about this. Like, and Gabor Mate has been treating junkies in the east side of Vancouver for a long time, and he's basically saying this is turning us into a bunch of meth heads. What happens when you stop getting the drug?
And I can even feel it in myself. I'm 31 years old. I didn't get the internet till I was like 13 or 14, and I've been doing a lot of social media the last couple of years. I can feel that draw to the device. I'm like, I want to look at it. Like, I wake up in the morning. Oh, like, how many followers did I get in the overnight? And I'm someone that's kind of resistant to this stuff, and I can feel the pull and the draw. So I can't even imagine growing up from the age of 1 having this device in my, like, wiring my brain for this addiction. Like, it's gonna be
man, I was fully addicted, and my wife and I have done a really good job at policing each other, and we've had to just, like,
it's hard.
After 5 o'clock, phones are off. Everything's on airplane mode. You can't call me. I'm out. And then, so our daughter sees us use devices because they are a part of our life. But what we're trying to do is, this is work. Daddy's working right now. And so when work is done, work is done. But, like, we're not sitting on here cruising. I've deleted all social media from my phone. I mean, I'm a YouTuber, right? And at the same time, some people are saying, well, yeah, Curtis, you're at this place now. Some of us need to use that social media. Totally fair thing to say. But, like, use it as a tool. Know when to turn it off, know when to turn it off. Know that if it's free, you're the product. And that's the game. So if you know the game, then you know how to navigate the system, right? So these are all tools, and there is value in Facebook, there is value in Instagram, there's value in all of these things. But, like, they are tools. and don't be a tool of it. Use it,
Yes.
and know when to draw the line. And if you're gonna have a family, if you don't want your kid to be a zombie, don't engage them in devices.
Yeah.
That's my. I mean, I travel a lot. I'm on a flight 2 to 4 times a month, and our family is usually the only one out of thousands of people I see in airports and planes that doesn't have their kid glued to a damn device.
Yeah.
And as soon as that device turns off, it's pandemonium with those kids. Our daughter can just chill.
Yeah.
She can just sit there and chill.
She learned how to cope.
Yep. We'll give her a coloring book. She'll color. She'll draw. We'll give her we pick her flowers. She gets really, like, she can get into physical things, not a damn device.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really important. Okay, so let's transition, back to farming here. And I wanted to ask you about, tools like this.
Greens harvester.
This is my favorite farming tool ever invented, personally. In the last 5 years, there has been just an explosion of tools that took everything to the next level for us, and has made this truly profitable on a small scale level. And so you started paperpot.co with Diego Footer, getting one of the most important tools, the paperpot transplanter, out there. And so what are your kind of thoughts of all these tools and how that's changed the game?
It's cool. It's changing the game so huge. I mean, right now, at this very moment, there's never been a better time to get into small farming, because you can buy the junk, you call it, still jang seeder. You can buy the jang, you can buy the paper pot and the quick cut greens harvester, and you're golden. Yeah. Like, you are so ahead of the game. Like, I mean, because when I started, I had an earthway seeder, and I didn't have any of those other tools. My post-harvest was a disaster. Like, I figured all, so right now with what's out there, there's so many things that are just right out of the box, good to go. You can go and buy a Farmer's Friend Caterpillar tunnel, done. So what that it's $300 more than if you built it yourself, but it's done. You don't have to build it yourself. You just put it together, right? Because taking the time to build it takes time. And, if I were to go back in time, I would say value your time. If I valued my time from the beginning, I would have tried to do less DIY stuff and just bought the stuff out of the box.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I did a lot of DIY stuff in the beginning, and it was a lot of time. I mean, I taught myself a lot of skills too, so that's been really valuable to me. But from the business standpoint,
and you're still going to learn those skills. If you're farming, you're gonna, in Japan, in Japanese, farmer means jack of all trades.
It's so true. Oh my gosh,
that's what it actually means. And so when you're farming, you're going to do that stuff anyway. So I wouldn't worry about not getting that skill base by just buying the right tools. I would say get the right tools and just do it. And that's that's my mission now with Paperpot Co. So we're trying, and we're actually making other tools now. We're actually about to, probably in a year time, we're going to expand into more things, and we won't just be Paperpot Co. We'll be MG Tools. And I'm inventing new tools right now. So what I'm trying to do is, I know I've done a lot of it with my YouTube videos and my online courses. I've saved farmers time, but I want to improve the tool space and really make it so that a farmer like yourself can get the right tools out of the box and crush it their first year. And people can still do that. You can still crush it your first year, but I want to make it easier to crush it in your first year. Because my end game, this is a personal thing. This is not MG Tools speaking, this is not Paperpot Co. speaking, but my personal end game is I want maximum personal liberty for the most amount of people as possible. And so I want to help people get there. And so for me, that's been through food. And there's other great people. I follow all kinds of content creators, right? There's people I follow on economics, there's people I follow on culture, there's people I follow on all kinds of stuff, world events. But so I know that my lane is small farming and sustainable agriculture. So I want to help people find liberty as well as they can through that vehicle, because that's how I can best help people. But I'll always point people to say, hey, you got to read Nassim Taleb. You got to read Jordan Peterson. You got to read Mises. You got to read Hayek. I'll point people to other people that have helped me change my world. But that's not what I'm an expert on. I am an expert on small farming, and so I'm trying to help that tool space get there more to more people.
Right. It's like a conduit to show people these other things and ways of thinking. And I really think of my YouTube channel as that as well. I want to wake people up, to the idea of liberty, self-ownership, resilience. So yeah, this is fantastic. And small farming is just a great way to open people up to those things.
Yeah, and I find the cool thing about small farming is that it's hard to not end up as a libertarian. If you, and I love that, because I've seen, and I used to be a total lefty, hardcore lefty, total Marxist. I have seen many people, myself included, who get into farming, that will understand self-ownership on the most intrinsic level, because
Yes.
I planted those seeds.
Yeah.
I made that garden grow. That's my property. You
Right.
learn libertarianism while you're eating good, healthy food.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's sort of a subversive way for me to win people over to this line of thinking, which I think
Yeah.
is the way forward.
Yeah.
If you want to be peaceful and you want to live amongst other people and have a diversity of cultures around you, it's really the only way, because big government and all that stuff is monoculture. It's
Yes,
all
exactly.
it's a monoculture mindset. It's like all the social justice warriors are like, yeah, welcome all diversity and all culture and all this, except if you say a political thing that we don't agree with, then we hate you.
Yes.
That's not diversity. That's monoculture.
Yeah.
You want to impose monoculture on everybody, and I'm anti-monoculture. I'm pro-diversity.
Exactly.
And
True
so,
diversity.
True diversity is the mind, right? I don't care about your skin color. I don't care about your race. I don't care where you come from. I only care about the things that you say and do, and mostly what you do. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I'll forgive what people say. Because I've said some dumb shit in the past.
Oh, yeah.
I've made
Me too.
mistakes,
Big
right?
time. Yeah.
But my actions have spoken a lot, and I've done a lot of things to help people, and I want to help foster that environment. I want to help people like you, that we can help more people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we want to bring people over, but I'm not going to go out and pound the pavement and try to wake the zombies up that are just like flipping on Instagram all day. Like, no way.
Right.
It's like, if you find me on Instagram and you switch on, great. Like I said before, you're welcome to come.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Yeah, it's so one of the reasons my company's called Nature's Always Right. One of kind of the secret meanings, I guess, would be that what we're talking about is called natural law.
Yes.
And it's a function of nature, actually. The more diverse that your garden is, the more stabilized it is, the less outside inputs are necessary. Like, so my idea of what big government is, the bigger the government is, the more it's like a monoculture, and these people are trying to play God and control it, so they have regulations, taxes, all these administration things, trying to control every little micro action that people are doing. That is literally the same thing as adding pesticides, herbicides,
Exactly.
tilling.
It's the opposite of
direct
nature.
analogy. It's the opposite of
Nature
nature.
doesn't like monocultures.
No.
Monocultures don't exist in nature. However, on the flip side of that, we have to understand that there's a practicality to some monocultures in some way. In the
Yeah.
sense that if I have my homestead and I got my 100 acres and we're living there as a community, there are rules that we all abide by, right? And there's also diversity within practicality too, because it doesn't make sense to try to create a jungle ecosystem in a desert, right?
Yeah.
So there's diversity within the greater context, right? And so it's not, because I think a lot of people in the permaculture space too get this diversity full stop.
Right.
It's like, no, not really, because there's diversity within context. It doesn't make sense to go to an area that doesn't have any context to what you're talking about and try to impose it there. And I see this in the permaculture space too. Like, I see a lot of Westerners try to go down. Like, I love Mexico. I go to Mexico every year. I've been 9 times in the last 5 years. It's like Westerners try to go down there and like set up all these North American systems. It's like, dude, you're in Mexico.
Yeah.
Culture doesn't necessarily, there's maybe little things, there's always points of entry, there's always niche opportunities, but you can't just like take this and plunk it here. Doesn't make sense. It's the same with people, it's the same with plant life, it's the same with everything, in my opinion.
And we were talking about Korean natural farming a lot on our videos, and this is the same idea as Korean natural farming. You don't take microbes. I'm not going to take microbes from Utah, bring them back here, and introduce it to my biome here. That makes no sense. It's literally the same analogy. I take it from my microbiome and utilize the diversity in my microbiome. It's very
I love that. It's such a cool metaphor, and I love that too, because the more I discover about nature, the more I understand human beings.
Yeah.
And that's actually where, like, when I discovered Mises and Hayek and the real free market thinkers, the original free market thinkers, having a background in ecology, in the sense that I've been farming with my hands for 10 years, that's my background in ecology. But understanding that, and then understanding these great libertarian thinkers, it was like two
together.
worlds colliding that just synergistically all made sense. And it was like, man, it's just like nature does not like force, and that's the thing that I found. It's like, and that's where we get, California is essentially a communist country. The more you get, people don't like to be forced. Chickens don't like to be forced in cages. Natural beings
want to be free.
Full stop.
Yes.
Period. Human life, plant life, animal life, they want to be free. So they're going to do things to go in that way. That's why liberty is always the best lens to apply first. Because like, what can we do to apply more liberty? within reason, right? Because we know that even in a farm, there is order to this.
Yes.
There are rules of engagement. There are boundaries and fences. We know that, but it's like, how do we mix the two? So like, I'm not trying to change the world's political system on this. I don't care about that. I care about my people. My people are probably most people that are watching this video. And so it's like, if you're in that, these are the rules of engagement, and this is where we come together. And we can all have our own homestead, right? That's why I love the idea of libertarianism. Because it's like, hey, you want to be a communist? Great, do it over there.
Please.
Just don't bring it over here.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your violence over there.
I'm a full believer in communism. You keep it in your little club, but don't imperialize. I'm not interested in your communism. And if you can be a communist and let me be a libertarian, we can live together.
Absolutely.
I just won't live on your property,
Yeah.
and you won't live on my property, but we can both exist.
Yeah. We'll exist a lot better, though. We'll have a way better
I think so, and they'll figure it out, you know, because all the smart people will leave, right?
That's right.
And that's where communism always fails, is that all the tall poppies who go, well, like, you're saying, communism is saying, okay, only 30-hour work weeks, but what if I want to work 60?
Yeah.
That person will leave. And then they'll come over to our tribe and go, wow, I'm way more free over here. I can build way more wealth. I can have way more comfortable living. And so all the poor people will keep themselves poor in the communist system, except the people that control it. They love, like the elites love communism.
Yeah.
Right? It's their favorite system.
Exactly. This is an idea from this book called the Libertarian Manifesto that, like, over time, yeah, there'd still be these small communist communities, but eventually they'd see the free communities be like, wow, they're so much more prosperous. Like, why are we still doing this bullshit? And then they go.
And what you have is what's called the brain drain. Is that you have it starts by all the smartest and most talented people leave first. And that's essentially what America is, guys.
Yes.
America is essentially the benefactor of the world, the global brain drain. Not to say that America is the perfect system. We all know it's not. But it does have the most amount of freedom. And I'm a Canadian, and I live in a fairly free country, in many ways more free than the US.
Recently.
Until recently. However, I still come down here for a lot of stuff because there is, in many ways more freedom. But it's all nuanced.
Yes.
It's all, every country has its own pluses and minuses.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know just from watching all your content and stuff, like, I know a lot about kind of a little bit of your personal journey. Like, you originally, when you were younger, when you were younger, you were a tree planter and a musician.
Yeah.
But now you transitioned, then you became a small-scale farmer. It was the first time you've ever done that.
Yeah.
Then then around that same time, you became a content creator.
Yeah.
Now you became an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Now you're a big business owner. You have a tool company.
Yeah.
You have a big website.
Yeah.
What's that journey been like for you? And also, like, what led you down that path? Like, how did you get to those conclusions that is the direction you should go?
That's an interesting question. I think when I really think about that, nobody's ever asked me that before. I think right now, because it might change if I were to think about this a lot more, but right now I think liberty is actually the thing that pulled me in all. It's like once I dropped my guilt of making money, because I used to hate capitalism, guys. I used to be a total Marxist, believe me. I used to hate the idea of profit, and I grew up with that because my mom was a hardcore socialist. But I think it's been personal liberty because I have found, some people might be offended by this, but I have found that if you want freedom, you need to make more money. And I fully understand of what money is in the sense of like currency, US dollar, Federal Reserve, fiat currency. I understand all that. But essentially, I think about things in the 8 forms of capital. So I don't want to go through all those because we'll go down too much rabbit hole. If you're not familiar with the 8 forms of capital, you got to check it out. I've done a video on it, but there's some great content out there published by other great minds. I basically looked at, if I want to create more capital in my life, which is essentially, this is capital, this is biological capital, there's resource capital, there's family capital, there's social capital. If I want to create more capital in my life, because capital allows you to do other things, right? And so I figured that the way forward to achieve more personal liberty and more stability in my life for my family is to create more capital. And so once I understood that, and that was probably a while ago, all of these steps that I've taken to lead me to be just I'm an entrepreneur that does many different things, has been in pursuit of increasing my capital. Okay. And that's stored capital and available capital. And so that's been it. And so, but at the same time, it's all a function of stacking functions in permaculture. And when I read David Holmgren's book, Pathways and Principles Beyond Sustainability, if I would have read that at the same time as reading Mises, it would have blown my mind. And I think that would be a great thing to understand. If you could understand the real principle of capitalism, also understanding the 8 forms of capital, and say David Holmgren's Pathways and Principles, you could get to where I am right now. And that is like maximum personal freedom, abundance, just sheer abundance in everything, but also knowing that by helping others, that also plays into those 8 forms of capital and also expounds on your capital. So like, I really believe in the law of attraction and the law of abundance and the law of scarcity. Scarcity attracts scarcity, abundance attracts abundance. So the more people you help, the richer you'll be. In all, not just money. Yeah. Money's only a tiny part of it. Yeah. Because some other capital forms lend to one another's and some cost others. But you overall, what's your overall capital outlay? And like, it's been in pursuit of that, to create more capital, but that's been also to help more people, help people like you, yes. Because all that comes back to me too, right? So in a way, it's like selfishness, but if my selfishness can help others, what's wrong with being selfish?
We are all selfish, and that's something that...
So are plants, right?
That's right, yeah. I think that's something that libertarians know, is that we are all selfish, and that if you create a centralized system, the most selfish people will take control of that system and take everything for themselves. If you decentralize the system and let each people be selfish in their own little zones, ultimately it's better to, you know, you're selfishly, like, you want more stuff for yourself, but by helping other people, that's actually what's going to get you more for yourself and your family, while at the same time helping those other people raise up as well.
That's right, and that's also in that lies the problem that we're in. Is we have crony capitalism, right?
Yeah.
We have state capitalism. We don't have real capitalism.
It's not real capitalism
because we don't have real self-ownership, because we don't even own ourselves. Yeah. Your IRS or what? Pretty much owns you. Yes. Right. Your IRS actually owns Canadians too. People don't realize that. Yeah, the IRS actually owns the bonds. Whoa. So our bonds, our birth certificates, is actually a bond owned by the IRS, traded on the market. So Canadians actually traded on the stock market. What the heck? Yeah. Oh yeah. My friend John Hofer learned to do this. He actually cashed in his bond as a Canadian. The IRS gave him a $140,000 check. So that's a rabbit hole. I don't want to go down that. But so what I'm saying is there's no freedom, right? There's no real freedom. We don't have real capitalism. We have crony capitalism, where only the cronies get to actually operate with freedom.
Yeah, they own us.
And they own us. And so I want to help people find real liberty. And I don't have it. I'm still a damn slave, man. The more money I make, I pay like 50%. It's ridiculous. I'm a slave.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm playing the game because it's allowing me to get some personal liberty. I can do a lot of things that I haven't been able to do with my family. I can take a vacation when we want to. I can buy a piece of land. I'm almost out of debt. My mortgage is going to be paid off this year. Cool. Like I'm using the system, as much as I hate it, to carve out my little piece of liberty. And then, hopefully I'll get to somewhere where they can't touch me as much.
Yes. And while you've been doing that, you have opened up the door for people like me and literally thousands of others to live a lifestyle like this, where we're creating more liberty for ourselves and others. And I just really want to thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. And we're all ripples in a pond, right? It's just like throw a bunch of rocks in a pond, all those ripples, when you see, at first each one makes a ripple. Yeah. But then when you look at the whole thing, it ends up looking like one big ripple. Because that's what happens in nature. Yes. And that's what happens with all of us dropping out little signals, and we find each other. And then our signals create a force. And then I think the place that humanity always goes wrong is that we get together and we go, let's force this on others. Yeah. That's the problem.
This is the right idea, and you must do it.
And that's what I don't want to do. And I want to be peaceful, and I want to help people, but I want them to help themselves. And it's like a give a man a fish, that whole thing, right? Correct. Teach a man to fish. Yeah. So I want to teach people to fish, and I want to teach people how to farm. And if they can find some liberty in that, and then they can come back, and we can find each other, and we can all come together somehow. I don't know how it's all going to play out, but that's what I'm doing.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis, thank you for sharing all this philosophical talk. This is something I've been wanting to talk to you about for a long time.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about it too. Yeah.
And thanks for coming out and shooting all the video today. Everybody, be sure to check out the full interview of us, all the different content that's going to go up on Curtis's YouTube, and also from the field.farm.
Yeah.
So Curtis, where can they find out more about you? And
yeah, so I have a membership website. I started producing more long form content, which didn't really work well on YouTube, and so I started doing it. And in a permaculture manner, I wanted to diversify from the monoculture, right? And the YouTube, you know, here's another philosophical way of looking at it. We all benefit from monoculture, right? Like, you and I benefit from the industrial food system. Doesn't mean we necessarily believe it and want to be part of it. We still benefit from it because that is offered an abundance of food. So YouTube is the same thing. YouTube's a monoculture in many different ways, but I've benefited from it. So I wanted to just start to carve out my own little piece of land, right? And so I built my own website where I put most of my content now, and it's all really long form, super detailed, sitting down with interviews with experts. And so I'm traveling around the world this year, mostly in the US, sitting down with experts like Steven and basically getting into the nuts and bolts. And so there's no flair on this. It's not about clickbait. It's not about any, it's just about giving people a lot of value. So I charge for it. So it's $99 a year US to join it, or $9.99 a month. And the value is there. I mean, everybody that joins up is like, you got the value in the first video, because we just delve into it, and there's no frills. It's just like delve into the content, and we want to help people, and it's my tribe, you know. It's my house, and so you come into my house. These are the rules. There's no haters. It's awesome. There's a great forum where people are just getting into subjects, and it's like, yeah, you guys can come into my house, and that's how it works, and it's an awesome place to be. And I as a content creator, it's given me new wind in my sails, to be honest. I was kind of burning out on YouTube a little bit. It's a grind, you know, but I used it to get to where I am, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that YouTube exists. But I carved out a little homestead in the cyberspace, you know, and it's my space, and you come in there, and people who like my stuff and like what I'm about love it, and we've got thousands of people in there now, and it's an awesome community, and it's growing.
It's really cool. Yeah, I'm a part of it as well. I've really found tons of value in these videos. It's even, if you've ever watched his YouTube channel, you know how much value he's brought to all of us. But you know, his site takes it to a whole nother level, and I describe it as more of like an advanced version of all the YouTube stuff, and it just so many more topics that he can now touch on. Yeah, it's really cool, guys. Yeah, so definitely check it out.
Yeah, so check it out. It's gonna. I only open it 4 times a year. I do a closed membership just because it makes it a little easier on the back end, but it also creates a sense of urgency for people. It's a marketing thing, really. But I open it 4 times a year. So right now it's open from April 5th to April 19th, and then it'll close, and then I'll take new members again in July.
Cool.
Yeah.
So check it out. I'll put all the links down in the description to fromthefield.farm, paperpot.co, all of Curtis's stuff, so you guys can go check it all out. Thank you so much, Curtis, for having this sit-down interview with me. Yeah. It's just so fascinating. And I can't wait till we can hang out again.
Yeah, man. We'll do it again. All right, Steven.
All right.
Thanks.
See you guys later. See you in the next video.